furious. Must be odd for you to be the disappointing child.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another Game of Thrones foreshadowing video, and this time we'll pick up right where we left off in the last video. We are on Season 2, Episode 1, The North Remembers. Hey guys, it's Chris and welcome back to SmokeScreen. If you're interested in receiving a 30-day free trial of Audible.com, head over to audibletrial.com/smokescreen and receive your free trial for 30 days and one free audiobook of your choice. Alright, so let's jump back into Season 2, Episode 1, The North Remembers, and we'll pick up right where we left off when Osha and Bran are heading out to the Godswood.
Heard some of the men talking about the comet. Say it's an omen. Say it means Robb will win a great victory in the south.
Did they? I heard some other fools say it's Lannister Red. Means the Lannisters will rule all 7 kingdoms before long. Red Comet means one thing, boy. Dragons.
Dragons are all dead. Been dead for centuries.
So Osha says a lot of interesting things here. First, she says that the comet is the color of Lannister red, which would mean the Lannisters could possibly rule over the entire 7 kingdoms. And then of course she does say there's only one thing that means Dragon's Boy. And then of course Bran does retaliate and say the dragons are all dead. Now of course this is not foreshadowing for the dragons themselves, so I think in combination with Osha talking about the Lannisters ruling the entire 7 kingdoms, the comet being the color of blood, as well as her saying it's all about dragons and Bran rebutting the dragons are all dead, I think this entire conversation kind of points us to this. So I think the combination of all the different things they said about the Red Comet and dragons and people ruling the 7 kingdoms, that pointed to Dany coming over as in a dragon ruling the 7 kingdoms. And next we head up to the north where we see the Night's Watch heading to Craster's Keep.
What happens to the boys? Huh? He marries his daughters. What does he do with his sons?
So Jon says specifically here, where are all the boys? And of course later on we would see this. And next we have a conversation between Lord Commander Mormont and Craster in Craster's Keep. And of course they're talking about Mance Rayder, him being king beyond the wall. But it's very interesting what Lord Commander Mormont asked Craster specifically.
Join up with Mance Rayder. And now he's king beyond the wall.
He's been calling himself that for years. What's he king of? A frozen lake somewhere.
So he specifically asked what is he king of, a frozen lake somewhere, and of course later on in Season 7 we would see this. And in our next scene, we do see the Red Comet again. They really hash on this Red Comet through this entire episode as we're introduced to Melisandre.
And cast your light upon us. For the night is dark and full of terrors, and the dead shall rise in the north.
So we hear Melisandre say a few interesting things. First, she does say the dead will rise in the north. Of course, that was something in the background that most people really didn't pay attention to. And of course, that leads us to this. And of course, she's talking about the White Walkers, whether she knows it yet or not. But more importantly, for this particular scene, we hear Melisandre say this.
This bones. Do you want to stop me? Stop me.
And of course, later on, Maester Crescent would try when we see this in the very same episode.
The night is dark and full of terrors, old man.
But the fire burns them all away.
And during the same scene, we also hear Melisandre kind of introduce us to prophecy here, and we hear her specifically say this.
In the ancient books, it's written that a warrior will draw a burning sword from the fire. And that sword shall be Lightbringer.
So it's been changed up a little bit for the show here. She says the warrior will draw a burning sword from the fire. She didn't say a warrior would plunge a sword through the heart of his lover, as in Nissa. So maybe this is telling us what I've been saying all along, that we don't have a literal magical sword called Lightbringer. So Stannis goes and does his little false thing here as she tries to build him up to be Azor Ahai. But maybe this is a hint for later on, at least in the show, that there won't be this Nissa style sacrifice as far as Jon or Dany. And later on, during the meeting with Stannis up in Dragonstone, we hear Davos start to butt heads with Melisandre.
Lannisters are the true enemy, if for the time being you could make peace with your brother.
The Lord of Light stands behind.
And how many ships has the Lord of Light got in his fleet?
He has no need for ships.
I'm sure he doesn't. But we do if we're going to war.
So right off the bat, they show us that Melisandre and Davos are not going to have a good relationship, or Davos with Stannis the entire time as well, and later on we would see this.
By fire is the purest death.
Woman is evil! She's a mother of demons!
Take him to the dungeon, lock him in a cell.
Your Grace! Come on!
You've chosen the darkness, Sir Davos.
And finally, during the same conversation at the table with Stannis as he plans his conquest of the Seven Kingdoms, we see the attempt on Melisandre's life.
The night is dark and full of terrors, old man.
But the fire burns them all away.
So of course we see Melisandre drink a cup of poison and it does not hurt her whatsoever, but Maester Crescent drops dead from one single damn sip. So at this point we know that she's some kind of witch with magical powers, but we're not really sure who she is. But of course later on we would see this. So later on, of course, we would find out who Melisandre truly is, and we would find out also through the conversation with Gendry that she was in fact born into slavery, her name was Melanie, etc., and you get a lot more detail about that in the books. And of course, we learned the hard way that she needs to keep drinking her damn potions and keep that damn choker on. So anyway, guys, that'll do it for this episode. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as usual, thank you for all the support, especially to you guys on Patreon. And a huge shout out to my executive Patreon SmokeScreen producers, Griffin, Lala, Kissa, Powell, Marc Joseph, aka The Snow in Winterfell, Marylin, Bentley, JoAnna, Colliday, Goska, HoonJive, Nicki Snow, Horton, Erin, Habig, John, Carey, Anastasia, Jason Landers, Rhiaanon, DTizSmith, MJW, Carole Brown, and D Brown. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate the support. And to all you guys on Patreon, you guys continue to make this channel possible, especially during the off season when everything on YouTube is way down. So anyway, guys, I really appreciate it. And everybody out there in YouTube land as well, be sure to subscribe to get everything and be sure to click that damn notification bell so you're notified when I drop a new video. So thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.